All right. Good morning. For the record, it is August 12th, 2021. This is our ongoing weekly BDA training. And today we are going to have a little bit of an impromptu conversation with Marco over from National Life Group. We have not had Marco on, but I know a couple of you on the call have actually, I think, talked with Marco before. Jeff's raising his hand, so that's great. I'm excited to have Marco on. He's traveling at the moment, so we brought him in for just a conversation. This will be, like I said, really casual and conversational. And then we'll talk about some things afterwards to wrap up. But I'm really looking forward to having the conversation. Appreciate you jumping on, Marco, for a little bit. We're going to have Marco for about a half an hour or so. And then we'll do, like I said, we'll have some other conversations and we'll talk about the webinar as well. But I'm going to take a step back and just say that, National Life Group has been a big player in the life space. They have some great products, some awesome living benefits. And so they're definitely someone that is within the portfolio of carriers that we want to be able to talk about intelligently. So with that said, the question that we have, every marketer that we work with on, as we talked about before, Marco, is answering the question of why should agents have National Life Group in their product portfolio? And like I said, we're not going to go through products. We're going to have a real conversation. And the idea being is that you guys should take some notes from this of things that you can share afterwards, that when you're talking to an agent and you hear something come up or you're asking questions and you're doing some consulting and you find out, this is going to be a good fit, then you want to be able to talk intelligently about it. So take down a couple notes, couple key phrases, hopefully that we pick up from this conversation. But without any further ado, Marco, you can introduce yourself, and we'll, like I said, I'll let you run the conversation talking about National Life Group.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How do you want to do questions? Do you want to wait for the end or as they come? I'm flexible either way.
Let's do as they come, because like I said, this is our this is the distribution group, so we'll keep this pretty open and conversational. So as Tim, I just saw that you jumped on as well, so that's great. But if you guys have questions, and don't interrupt in mid-sentence, of course. But as we bring up point, let's make sure that we understand it. We drill down. So if there's questions that come up, either put them in the chat bar right away or just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying, Nathan. And everybody, I'm just on my phone. I just dialed in. So if you do have a question, I can't see if your hand raises. So just step in and unmute yourself. So
yeah, I'll help out with that if they do.
Okay.
I'll help out with that if they do chime in that way.
Awesome. And I look forward to a conversation too, not just me talking. So I welcome all and every question that you have. Quick about me. I've been in Dallas for the last 20 plus years, and and this is where our second office is for National Life. Primary office is in Vermont, Montpelier, Vermont. And like I said earlier, for those of you that caught on earlier in the call, I grew up right outside of O'Hare Airport, so I know the area that many of you are in. So been with National Life for 7 years. Before that, I was at a RIA working with UBS financial advisors with our offers and getting them to put the clients with our stuff. And it was a nice run, but we just made some bad deals and company folded. The guy was retiring, so he was on the outside looking in. And then I came across National Life and been in the insurance game for 7 years now. So I'm also an agent myself as well. So I'm coming to you not only from the home office, but also as somebody who's been across the kitchen table on the weekend or an evening selling our illustrations, selling our plan. So that's the route that I take. And unfortunately, I would have had some slides so you can follow along, but again, we'll just keep it a flowing conversation. We can do one of these later with more details as needed. But National Life has been around since 1848, which makes us one of the oldest mutuals in the country. Older than National Western. Sorry, you said National Western earlier. Northwestern Mutual. It's in my head now. And maybe a year or two behind like New York Life of the world. So, we've been around being since then, 1848. It was actually, for those of you in Illinois will appreciate this, Abraham Lincoln wasn't even president yet. That was 16 years before he was president. Our first death claim came in an individual going west in the gold rush. So just gives you a little quick history lesson. But every major event we've had a claim in our nation's history. So it's a badge of honor that we hold because of the insurance being such a long-term promise. And so whether it's a life or an annuity contract, right, there's 50 plus, 40 plus years on that piece of paper that you're showing somebody. And so we honor ourselves and we take pride in all that. So being around since 1848, it's a company with a lot of history, a little bit over 1 million clients that we have on the books. And then in June of this year, some of the fireworks started to go off. We were the first company to get rating increases from the rating agencies. And truth be told, some of these increases should have come 2-3 years ago. And they definitely should have came last year, but COVID slowed everything down. In a time where the rating agencies are giving a negative outlook on the industry, National Life shined. We got a rating increase from Moody's, taking us to A1, and a rating increase from AM Best, taking us to A+. So very strong ratings. It raised our Comdex. So if you're a person that tracks that, we're in the 90s now. So very powerful thing to go into the summer months and to end the last of the year. So we were very excited and very proud. And these two rating increases came in a span of 3 weeks from each other. So it was very fun to hear the news on that. But let's just look at the last 10 years of what's happened. LIMRA actually came out at the end of 2020 and said that we were the fastest growing insurance company over the last 10 years in the industry. In 2010, ladies and gentlemen, we had $87 million of life insurance sales as a company. 2010, $87 million of commissionable life insurance premium. I think we were in the top 50 of companies with those numbers in 2010. Fast forward. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask how that rated according to everyone else.
How is that? How are the ratings according to everyone else? You said.
Yeah, when you said when you did 80 million, you answered it. You said top 50.
Yeah, so we're top 50, 48, 49, around there. But then fast forward to the end of last year, we ended at 354 million of life insurance commissionable premium. So that was that's very exciting because that puts us in the top 10 of insurance companies. And this year we will end at 400 million, which will put us in the top 7 to 6. So that's you're in the companies of some big players, right? Companies that advertise in the middle of the Super Bowl, have a soccer stadium named after them, right? A couple of big companies. So we're participating in some very powerful lineups now. And the biggest question that is obviously one that you should have too is, how the heck did that happen? The insurance industry has been it's stuck in the 80s, right? Stuck in the 90s, with the processes and the way of doing business, and it's picked up with COVID, right? But you don't just hear that kind of growth in our industry. And all credit is due to our current CEO, Mehran Asadi. He came in and changed things up tremendously over the last 13 years. I think he's been our CEO. But really, it comes down to two things: simple yet powerful products. And I'll go over that, and then speedy underwriting. Okay, so those are really the two things. That has led us to these numbers that I just shared with you. And by the way, also being the #1 IUL carrier last year and at the end of 2020. So I think over the last 4 years now, we've been going back and forth with #1 and #2 in the rankings. It just depends on the quarter that you ask me. I'll give you #1 or #2. So very impressive company to be a part of. But what I mean, and I'll drill down and expand on what I meant by simple yet powerful products, and then the underwriting. We're known in the marketplace for our IUL, right? We have 2 IUL products. One being one that's designed mostly for face amounts of less than $1 million, which is our everyday IUL, and then we have another IUL that has a face amount requirement of a minimum of $1 million. So you see those mostly for your larger cases, estate plannings. But our everyday top selling IUL is called the Flex Life IUL, the LSW Flex Life. And by the way, LSW stands for Life Insurance Company in the Southwest. That is our 49 state company. So anytime you see LSW on an illustration or an application, that's the one you want to check off, unless you're in New York. If you're in New York, you're doing business in New York, then you want to run the National Life Insurance Company contract. But both of those companies are under the National Life Group umbrella. So just to paint a little picture for you. So simple yet powerful products, cash accumulation in the IUL plus the combination of living benefits. It's that simple. And when I show clients and when I show advisors our illustrations, we made it into such a story that if by the 6th page you're not getting a signature, then we got to go back to the first page and see what you said, because it's that simple. I've been able to sell $100 a month IUL. My personal biggest sale is an 80,000 target a year IUL. So between those two, you're looking at everybody, most 90% of the people in this country. So the living benefits, how we broadcast it, how we market it, plus the cash accumulation makes for a perfect permanent solution. So I'll stop there. If there's any questions, usually this is where they start to come, but if not, I'll definitely go into the underwriting.
Yeah,
awesome.
Oh, Jeff, looks like you had a question.
No, that's the $1 million minimum is which plan, Marco?
Good question, Jeff. It's good to hear your voice as well. Flex Life. That's the one you want to go with under $1 million.
Okay, and over $1 million.
Over $1 million, Peak Life.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say then too. So you talked about well, let's go through underwriting, because I know that's a big hot topic right now of limits and what the process looks like. And more clients of course wanting to do fluidless underwriting, and I know that's something that you guys have excelled at. And then just as a note too, before I forget as well. Can you touch base on For National program a little bit too?
That actually was going to be one of my topics in the underwriting work.
Perfect. I'm ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love the transitions too. So, we'll definitely hit on that. But you're spot on, Nathan. The underwriting has been. The underwriting is part of the process. It's part of the sales process. It's part of the experience that a consumer has. And over the years, not only are we just competing with insurance companies and internally and seeing who can do the fastest underwriting, who can ask the least amount of questions, who's going to avoid the APS, right? That's been a battle that we've always fought. But now we're also combining those efforts and trying to compete with the experiences that an everyday consumer has. And especially when you talk to the younger generations about insurance, they don't want to get poked. They don't want to have somebody come into their office or home. God forbid we have to ask for an APS. You know how long those can take. So that's really been something that we've taken a big emphasis on and put a lot of efforts behind improving that. So when I first started with the company 7 years ago, under $250,000 was our non-medical experience limit. Okay, $250,000. Anything above that, you have to go through a blood and urine exam. But anything below that, there's a good chance we'll issue without a blood and urine exam. In 2017 is when we rocked the boat a little bit, because we bumped that limit from $250,000 to $1 million in 2017, and we were the first carrier to go to $1 million on a permanent life insurance contract. So that means no blood and urine exam required up to a certain age. But now we stepped it up going into 2020, and then when COVID happened, we ended up stepping it up even more. So here's what you want to write down on our IUL, both Flex Life and Peak Life. 50 years or younger, 3 million or less. All you need to do is hit submit on the application, and we will start the underwriting. There's a very good chance that we won't ask for an exam under those variables. Again, 50 years or younger, $3 million or less. All right, so that's the first bracket. 50 or younger, I guess 50 to 18 technically, and then 3 million or less. 51 to 60, you're at 1 million, where there's a very, very high chance we'll ask for non-medical experience. And I say very high chance because, believe it or not, there's just some people that haven't been to the doctor in 5 years, so we have nothing to grade off of, right? Or there's some folks who have something that we just absolutely need more information on, so the blood and urine exam will help us. So I say that in those instances that where we may ask for the exam, but there's a very good chance we won't. And I'll give you some stats in a little bit, but I want to stop there and see if those limits made sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then just so I know, 60 and older is fully underwritten, right?
60 and older, you go 60 to 65. Your limit is 250,000.
And then this is only on the IUL product, or is this across the board?
That's on the IUL. We also have a whole life and current assumption UL as well, and all those three products fall under those limits. Term for 50 and younger, the limit is not 3 million, it is 2 million. So it is a little bit less. But your other brackets for term are the same.
And then last of the question with underwriting, excuse me, if you guys are hearing that in the background, is are they able to get the top rating that you guys offer based on what you guys receive?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I should have said that too. Thanks for clarifying. We could go up to the elite or preferred rating standard as well. So yeah, if they qualify for the bigger one, then the better one, I should say, then yes, absolutely, we'll give it to them.
Perfect. Then last other question, just in comparison, because if I understand correctly, for most cases, I think you guys are either the highest or one of the highest or equal to the highest in that type of underwriting. Do you know if that's the case, or if anybody comes even close?
Yeah, no, we're pretty much in the top 1% for those programs, I should say. You know, I'm sure there's others. There has to be others that are at 3 million on the IUL. I know quite a few are at the 2 million limit, but you know, between that, that's pretty much, you know, quite a bit of people you come across. So
yeah, absolutely, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. But so Nathan, I'll add on to that, where it's not just having the things on paper, right? The limits and ages on paper is one thing. It's the actual experience that's going to make you different from others. And so here's our experience as of through the end of July this year. Okay, so people coming in under these variables, right? Under the 50 or younger, 3 million or less. How many times are we asking for an exam? How many times are we just issuing it without one, right? That's what really matters. What good is your program if 90% have to go through an exam, right? So through January 1st and July 31st of this year, right? So the first full half of this year, those clients under those limits that I just gave you, 50 or younger, and under those certain face amounts, we've actually have that our application is like a smart application. When you do it online electronically and you answer those medical questions, it's actually underwriting itself. So as you put yes or no in the medical questions, it's thinking in the background and pulling MIB and prescription at the same time. So when you hit submit, I always compare our application coming to us basically almost all underwritten unless there's some medical conditions that we just need to get more information on. So it's like that. It's like those Lexus commercials when you go out in the holidays and you see the spouses running to the car, the nice Lexus with the red bow on it. That's basically how our applications come to the home office. A lot of the times they're already done. And what's getting us to this point of 40% of cases are auto approved by the time you hit submit and by the time it comes to the home office in the span of those hour or two. So 40% of the applications are auto approved, 50 or younger, 3 million or less. 40% of the times they're auto approved. The other times there's going to have to be an underwriter that goes in and reviews it, and then they can decide if they need a blood and urine exam. So basically 40% of our applications aren't even being looked at by a human. They're being auto approved by our underwriting engine.
That's a lot.
Yep, that is. And then now let's look at the actual meds, right? Those blood and urine exams. How many times do we ask for that? So this is just for face amounts under $1 million and for 50 or younger. 94% of our policies that we've approved we haven't required a medical exam on. 94%, 50 or younger, $1 million or less, we haven't required a medical exam.
Jeff, did you have a question?
No, I was just curious, Marco.
Or comment?
Is there anything that raises a red flag? Any examples that would require further underwriting?
Yeah, good question there, Jeff. So some of the things that are going to require an underwriter to dive into the file and maybe not get auto approved is, diabetes is one. Some that come to mind as well is anytime there is a yes to the medical question and there is a prescription behind it, it will multiple, I should say. If there's just one prescription, it's actually flying through the program and it's able to make a decision. But once you have multiple prescriptions, then that's when it has to be viewed by physical eyes.
Okay, but it won't necessarily mean that they'll have to go out for an APS. Or
right. It won't necessarily.
Go ahead.
You're absolutely correct. It won't necessarily mean that we need a medical exam or an APS. It just means that somebody has to physically look at it just to make sure that there's nothing else going on.
Okay.
So yeah, the computer's not that smart yet, but believe me, we're working on that.
Yeah, the
so just to give you a little APS stat, I don't know what our experience has been this year, but last year we only asked for an APS maybe 8 or 7% of the time. So it's single digits for us now.
So what you would recommend, if I should not presume, but medications today have multiple purposes. So
Exactly.
so the producer should be as specific as possible in taking the information for that underwriter if it does slide over for somebody to physically look at it so they can make a determination. It gives
Yes,
it puts the applicant in the best favorable light, so to speak.
you're absolutely correct. And you definitely want to put as much information on those applications as possible, because not only does a medication, one medication can solve multiple things. That also, if you think about it from the other side, if you just put down one medication, then the underwriter's like, oh, well, this is also used to treat XYZ. But do they have XYZ, or is it just ABC? And not only like what you've been prescribed, you go to the doctor, or especially like our VA applicants, you come out with the laundry list of things, but you only take 2 or 3. All right. And that's also important for us to know.
Hey, Marco, this is Tim Lavin.
Hey, Tim.
Quick question. I know there's probably a lot of different variables and elements to the underwriting, but so say, for instance, if someone has not had a doctor checkup in 5 years or so, is that going to trigger something too?
Yeah. So if you haven't, there's no doctor checkup, and we just get no reports back, then very likely that we'll ask for an exam.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And especially the older they get too. So very good chance that we would. So, that's where we're landing at the moment with our underwriting. And again, this is where we're separating ourselves from the pack, is being able to take on these volumes of applications and being able to make responsible decisions. And so it's a program that we've been honing in since 2017. And over the next couple of years, you're going to be blown away with what we have coming out. But now that leads me to really the markets that we work in. And this is where I'll talk about our 4 national program, because we have a different spin on it, a very unique spin on that. But when you look at our pie chart of markets, if you want to call them that, a little bit over half, I'll just say 55%, are done in what we call middle America. And that is, to us, a household with less than $150,000 of annual income, a single parent, 2 working parents, somebody who's just looking for a $200,000 IUL, paying $70 a month for their term, $20 a month for their term. Those are the bulk of our applications. So 55% of our business last year came from just that market. We don't care where they're located in the country. That market right there is where we process these quickly and efficiently, better than anyone else. So that's basically half the pie, right? A little bit over half of our business is in that market. The rest of it is in your traditional larger cases, estate planning scenarios, and then also, what we call emerging affluent, people who are making a really nice income or just don't have the assets as compared to your estate planning situation. So the other 45% are in those typical sales. But again, 55, we're issuing these things better than anyone else with a household under 150,000. And then that leads me to our 4 national program. You call up any other insurance company, they're going to say, you tell them 4 nationals, they're going to think, all right, people living in another country and they're coming here, or they're working, they're U.S. citizens, residents, but they're working in another country for a couple of years, whatever the case may be. We play in that market, right? So if somebody is coming here in the U.S. and they have properties, they have assets, that's what we look for. right? We look at the connection that they have to the country, the financial connection, not family connection, I should specify. But we take it a step further. And 4 or 5 years ago, we started to look at individuals who are in this country permanently, who are working here, paying taxes here, have a home, a family, a business established here, and they just don't have a social security number, or they maybe just have a passport, no license. As long as somebody who's here permanently has an I-10 number, a tax identification number, we're able to underwrite them as we would a permanent resident or citizen of this country. There's no limitations on the face amounts that they can have. There's no limitation on the products. We're not stripping away any living benefits. And we're able to give them the best rating that we can. Your elites are preferred. So again, your individuals who you see day to day in the grocery store, who just are in this country with an I-10 number, we're able to accept them and look at them through a different microscope. Through, I should say, the same microscope as our everyday client. So I'll pause there because I know that's a little different.
Yeah, I'll let Jeff, you unmute yourself too. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's really powerful. And just when you say there's no limit on the face, it's just whatever their financial underwriting will permit, their ratio to income,
Exactly.
so on and so forth. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just make the comment for everyone here, just especially in us marketing this. National Life Group is probably, for me, one of the first places that I suggest people go when they're looking for national programs, or they say, hey, I have someone that has an I-10 number, but where do I go with this? That's why I wanted Marco to touch on it and mention again, because it does come up quite often. And National Life Group is one of the few places that, like I think you said the best, Marco, that you use the same lens as you use with anybody else, whereas almost every other carrier has a different lens for that. They have different limits, they have different underwriting, they have different requirements. It's all across the board.
Yep, absolutely. And so the last point to the I-10 individuals that I'll point out to is really what we're most worried about is that permanent connection. You heard me say that a couple times when I was talking about this program. Really, that could be one of three things. They have a U.S. citizen, child, or spouse. That's the first one. Second one, they own a business, and you would be surprised how many people, the amount of these folks who own a business here, and or C, owning a home, right? To us, one of those three things shows proof that they permanently want to stay in this country. They don't want to go back to their home country, and they planted their flag here in the United States.
Super simple, super easy. I would jot those three things down right there. That was own a home, a business, or spouse or child with.
That's it.
There you go. Those three things make it super simple. No limits, regular underwriting. Like I said, that's why National Life Group has, I don't know how you guys, if you know numbers or anything like that of kind of where you rank in the foreign national program, but I know you guys are kind of up there.
Yeah, we are. So, I mean, you can call these individuals foreign nationals if you want. We don't kind of look at it that way, but your traditional people who are coming from China, from Latin America, from Europe, and have assets here. We've had a really good experience with that market, and so to even add on to that, some carriers uh, there are companies out there who don't require a nexus, or they require a very light nexus to the United States, and they're able to offer them insurance under the Four National program. Well, they haven't had too good of an experience, and we saw that in COVID when the reinsurance companies pulled their programs from them or limited them tremendously. So we didn't have that red light given to us. So that just speaks to when we look at those more national cases that are more traditional, and our homework that we do for them, it's for a reason.
Really quick, so that everyone, because I think I'm maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, for everyone that's here, if everyone knows what Nexus is, let me know. But could you do a brief definition of what Nexus is on that side?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Nexus is a fancy way of saying your connection to the country, right? So look at it this way. I'll give you a real example. My uncle is a lawyer in Mexico. He has family here, me, my parents, etc. But that's not a financial connection to the country, so he wouldn't just qualify for that based with our program, based on having relatives here and him coming shopping here, every 6 months. That's not a fit financial connection. If he owns assets here in this country, that's what we're looking for. So really, the biggest one is rental properties. You'd be surprised how many people in New York, California, Florida have a home, a condominium that they vacation at from other parts of the world, right? They own a business or a partner or a large investor in a business. Or if they just have a bank account, a brokerage account here in the country. And that account has to have a balance of about 500,000, so it's a pretty sizable one. But yeah, those are the three or four connections that we call your nexus. Like, what is your financial connection to the United States?
Thanks, Marco. Well, hey, as a wrap up, because I know we're over the half an hour, which I knew it was going to happen anyways, which is okay, because I like having these discussions. If you had to sum up, like so talking to marketers and they're on the phone, with agents, and you can cite a lot of your conversations that you have as well. What are the top 2 or 3 things that you're mentioning to agents about why they should get contracted or write business with National Life Group, LSW?
Yeah, good point. And I would go off by saying that we're making it as easy as possible to do business when it comes to our underwriting. So first and foremost that, and we have very powerful permanent policies with our IUL. I mean, between those two, the cash accumulation in an IUL and the experience that the consumer has. One thing that I always do when an advisor or a client doesn't believe in permanent life insurance, I just bust out my mobile app. We have a National Life mobile app for clients, and I just pull it up, sign in, and I show them my cash value. And I go, look, this is what I've had. I've had this policy for 5 years. I paid into it this much. I can use this for what I do, right? And whatever, the pitch after that, the cash value build up. So simplifying it, quick underwriting, powerful products, cash accumulation is our game. And just wrap it up with that.
Perfect. And I'm gonna, since we just talked, but I'll add the third one is one of the simplest and the easiest for quote unquote foreign national programs. So for everyone taking notes, those are your 3 bullet points, for your conversation about National Life Group, as agents bring it up and agents talk about it, because that's that's what we're here for, is that information, so that we can incite interest, earn those contracts. Because I mean, not everyone's contracted with NLG, and if they are, they're not always right in business. That's part of what our job is as business development advisors, marketers, distributors, is understanding what's happening in the marketplace and helping them with that knowledge, because they're out there selling. And they don't have time to, go through and understand each carrier and, where their markets are. So having people like Marco on is really important to our conversations. Love National Life Group for a lot of things that they do. So I always appreciate your time. Like I said, we will have you on probably next month, Marco, and when you're not traveling, and we can actually go through some product things and some slides and stuff like that. But I think this is a good conversation. Anybody have any other questions before we kick Marco off? Awesome. Well, I will take everyone's silence as a no more questions. Again, Marco, any parting words as you go back into the conference?
No, thank you all for the opportunity and for hanging on as I speak. Nathan has my contact info. I've talked to Jeff before, so if you guys want to reach out to help, feel free to call me at any time.
Yep, I was gonna say, so Marco's information is in that sheet. Jody just put it on the chat. She said thank you. So we have his information. You guys can find it. You can bug him at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate your time, Marco. Good to hear your voice again. And then everyone else, hang on for a little bit longer. I just wanted to go over the debt to action stuff that we talked about, and then we'll go from there. But again, appreciate your time, Marco. You have a great rest of your day. Enjoy Vegas.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
All right,
Marco.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so I won't keep everyone else too much longer, but everyone, yeah, that's on here was on the Debt to Action webinar. So that was, for you guys, most of you, that was your second time seeing it. It was pretty similar. I have some feedback on my side, but before I say anything else, any questions, comments, feedback from the meeting, just from your perspective, before I jump into a few things to make sure everyone understands what we saw, how to leverage it, how to market, and then we'll wrap up and we'll go from there. But anything, Jody, Jeff, Tim, that anybody has right now?
I found it to be very straightforward and very thorough. I mean, conceptually, they've done a wonderful with the technology. I mean,
absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. It is the technology, the platform that they built is top notch. Like, it's very good to be able to express that narrative. I'm withholding my comments for a second to see if anybody else has anything else before I dive into some things. All good stuff, but anything else, Jody, Tim, I know you saw it as well. Any other feedback that you guys have?
Yeah, Nathan, yeah, it's a great program. I was just a little concerned about, the scenario where someone is paying all their credit cards and bills and mortgage and everything else, and they're strapped. I wasn't really clear on where that extra money is coming from to go into a life policy. I know that maybe, the scenario that they ran was that they were overpaying some of their bills. So they would just chop that down to the minimum and then take that extra and put it into a life policy. But if they're just paying the minimum, I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, and you have a good point there, Tim. So the idea being is you're absolutely right. This, easily fits for anybody that's overpaying on any of those debts, which I don't know the percentage, but it is a decent amount of people that are doing that, that are, what I call shotgunning their debt, and not actually taking a measured approach to it. But if they're paying minimums on all of those, I would say one other big area to look at is the 401k money. And the presentation doesn't go into that as directly, of talking about like the math and the statistics behind why taking money out, not out of the actual funds of the 401k, but instead of funding the 401k, funding your own plan and the benefits of that. All I'll say, there are some materials and things on that out there. And I know you've seen the other side, the IUL side, that kind of does a little bit more of a comparison. But that's one place to look for money. And then the other place is if they are saving anything. But I will say this hands down, Tim, if they are paying minimum for everything, they don't have any extra funds, this would be a very difficult sell, because then you do have to go into the lifestyle of what they're doing and helping them change their actual lifestyle to create value and actually saving money and building their own bank. The easy sale is in what was demonstrated, is if they are saving money, some money, and if they're overpaying on their debts, then you just reallocate that. But if they're not doing that, then it's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And then there was the other thing is, and just at the very end, I think there was like 2 costs to the program. I wasn't sure if it was the combination or there was different levels.
They have different things within it, and they have, because Agency Rocket has 3 programs right now. And I think that's what popped up, but let's see if I can get there really quick, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. They don't have it up there yet. I mean, I think it was it was $149 a month. Because of our relationship with them, we get a 15% discount every single month. So that ends up adding up. And I put the code in the band. You guys can use it how you want to. But yeah, $149.95 a month with, and then 15% off of that if they use our code. And then, like he said, 30 days, somebody tries it and they're not, they decide that they're not really going to use it or wasn't interested in them, no questions asked, they'll refund the money on that side.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Yeah. Like I said, this is sorry, the last thing, Jody, anything on your side, or Tim or Jeff, any other questions that you guys have?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Not at this point.
Okay. All right, so then let me just real quick just talk about a little bit conversationally again, and then we'll probably be out of here by 10:30 about how I've been talking about this, and I know a few of the other people have as well. That the idea being is that, again, this is a conversation for people that are probably already selling a whole life and they might be using an Excel spreadsheet. They might be using other platforms, like there's Nelson Nash's platform, there's Your Family Bank. This is a way to be able to earn that business and bring it over on our side. So that's, I would say, number one is people that are already selling whole life are already practitioners of that philosophy and understand it. The second one is people that are working with clients, and this is an easy marketing piece of asking, like, hey, out of curiosity, do a lot of the clients that you work with, do you find that a decent amount of them are in debt? And if they say yes, well then, hey, do you have a program for that to help them show them how to get out of debt using life insurance? And if they say no, well then there's your in. If they say yes, then it's a conversation about what they're actually using and having them check out what we're doing on our side to be able to earn that business. So I'd say those are the two very simple arenas of asking that question. Both of those are premised that they have some experience of maximally funded life insurance. The third category is the people that don't understand that, philosophy, which is a little bit tougher because this software is just that. It's just the software. So you're going to have to add your skill and knowledge of actually understanding that philosophy to teach them a little bit, because Agency Rocket isn't going to teach them how to sell it. They're going to teach them how to structure it within the software to show the statistics. But there's a whole sales conversation that we didn't touch on with the software, because pretty much everyone that we brought on were knowledgeable and experienced about overfunded life insurance. But hopefully those three areas make sense. And those are really the people to market this to. We have the recording now. And I shared that on band as well. So use that recording to have those conversations if they want to see that. And then you can follow up with them afterwards and go from there. But great concept, great idea. I love the plan. Use it to earn that business for the people that are having those conversations about whole life, or that don't have a software like that, but they're selling life insurance to clients. So any questions about that, or any other notes that you guys have? I just wanted to go over that real quick, because we'll probably do another webinar at some point down the road, because we had I forgot what it was, like 72 or 76 people that registered. We had ended up with a total of 44. I think I got my numbers right. 44 that was on there. So that allows, that's 44 conversation. Well, technically 72, 76, whatever it is, conversations that we can have after that. And it's pretty easy to invite people to that conversation, because all they're doing is checking out information. But any other questions or comments anyone has on the marketing idea of it?
No.
Cool, easy peasy. Well, I will not keep anyone longer. Let's everyone have a phenomenal rest of the day. Tim, since I have you on, I'm going to try touching base with you either today or tomorrow. I've had a sick kid in the hospital for the past week, so it's been pretty crazy. But wanted to touch base with you because I know it's been a little while since we chatted.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your child.
I think he hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers he comes and praying he comes home today. So we'll see. He's been doing good for the past couple days, but it's either going to be today or tomorrow. I'm just waiting to hear back from the doctors and my wife.
Great.
But I appreciate everyone's time. I will touch base with you guys, and Jeff. Yeah, we can talk in a couple minutes.
All right. Thanks, Nathan.
All right. You're welcome, Tim. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Jody, always a pleasure. We will talk with you later.
Have a good day.
Have a good day, all.
All right. Bye-bye.